3 years ago, on Jeju Island, the Navy was helplessly observing the battle between the hunters and the ant-looking magic beasts. Although the hunters had all kinds of abilities, the magic beasts easily slaughtered them, so the remaining survivors thought their rank was too low to stand a chance. However, another hunter named Young-gu arrived to fend off the magic beasts, and he healed the survivors' critical injuries in an instant. The magic beasts immediately tried to swarm Young-gu, but 2 more hunters arrived to protect him, and they dealt with the magic beasts with ease. The survivors recognized that they were the S ranks, and they sounded excited by their arrival. But the leader of the swarm of magic beasts also arrived. Although the magic beasts looked much stronger than the previous ones, the 2 S ranks worked together and killed it with ease. However, similar magic beasts started to swarm their location, so the 2 had to use their real power and abilities. At the same time, in another location, Guildmaster Choi noticed the arrival of Young-gu's group because of the explosion caused by their abilities. However, they were also occupied in their own battle as the ants started to swarm their location. Guildmaster Choi used his powerful fire magic to attack the ants, but the larger ants just walked past it, so the melee battle commenced. Over 10 years ago, a gate linking the world with another dimension that was filled with creatures called magic beasts appeared. These creatures were immune to normal weapons, but many individuals had awakened the abilities necessary to fight them. They were called hunters, and their ranks were classified based on their magical power, with rank E being the weakest and rank S being the strongest. However, after awakening these powers, it was impossible to gain greater strength, even with abundant effort. 3 years later, the present day, a boy named Sung Jinwoo, who was nicknamed the weakest hunter of all mankind, arrived outside the gate to join a raid. He was so weak that an E-rank gate landed him in the hospital. However, everyone was glad to see him, as it signifies that if he is called to take part in a raid, it will be an easygoing one. Jinwoo knew all of these stories about him, but he didn't try to argue, as all of them were the truth. At the same time, a girl named Juhi worriedly asked what happened after seeing his injuries. He explained that it was the same as usual, but she still lectured him while showing her concern, and she was even upset that a healer was not present during the raid to heal his injuries. However, Jinwoo blamed himself for being weak instead. Afterwards, they joined their team and met their leader, Song Cheol. Everyone acknowledged his skills, so the team decided to enter the gate feeling relieved that they had a capable leader. One of his teammates patted his shoulder. He encouraged Jinwoo to hang in there and avoid getting injured, while Juhi told him to give it their best. Although Jinwoo could barely afford a knife with little magic power in it for his equipment, he was determined to see through the raid. At the same time, Chairman Go was having problems with the administration because of the dungeon breaks. However, they still want the resources from the dungeons, like the essence stones collected by the hunters from the defeated beasts. Jinwoo rejoiced after collecting his first essence stone, but a magic beast suddenly attacked. Although he managed to dodge and launch a counterattack, his knife broke when his attack landed on the beast, so he was defenseless against its stab. Another hunter killed the magic beast in one strike. Jinwoo was lying on the ground, seriously injured, but Juhi started healing him right away, and he watched as his team killed the magic beasts with ease. Chairman Go explained that the essence stones collected from high-ranking magic beasts can be turned into powerful weapons and gear to fight the other beasts. Similar to the mana crystals, although the government uses it as a power source instead, it is not only safer but also more efficient compared to the other sources, making it the ideal clean energy source. Because of this, great duty rests on the hunter's shoulders. At the same time, Jinwoo's team rejoiced after Mr. Song landed the final blow on the dungeon boss. However, it wasn't the case for Juhi. She was more concerned for Jinwoo's safety. Seeing his injuries, she was certain that something much worse could happen if he continued as a hunter, but Jinwoo just apologized, which upsets her. Meanwhile, their teammates were a little disappointed after collecting all the loot, as there weren't many magic crystals inside the dungeon either. Jinwoo felt the same, as the single E-rank essence stone he collected wasn't worth almost losing his life. However, one of his teammates suddenly called for their attention as he found something that looked like a tunnel. Seeing this, some of them realized that they were inside a double dungeon. Park and Kim got excited, thinking that there was more loot inside. But Mr. Song stated that the proper procedure was to wait for the Hunter Association's orders. However, Park and Kim didn't want someone else to get the loot, and they thought it would be fine as they were inside a D-rank dungeon, so they suggested entering. Mr. Song still considered the risk, so he thought it needed to be decided through votes. The group's sentiments were split, but Jinwoo hasn't voted yet. He was aware of the great danger, especially for someone like him. However, with his dad missing, his mom undergoing treatments, and his sister studying, he voted to enter the dungeon, desperate for the money. At the same time, a Hunters Guild member was reporting their recruitment's progress to Choi Jong-in, their guildmaster. He was determined to gain more hunters with potential, although he was certain that no one was comparable to Cha Hayan. Meanwhile, Cha Hayan effortlessly retrieved a girl's bag from some snatchers. However, the people around her swarmed at her when they recognized that she was the S-rank hunter Cha Hayan, so she had to escape by jumping on top of the buildings. 40 minutes had passed since Jinwoo's group entered the second dungeon. Jinwoo apologized to Juhee since they had to enter because of his vote. She was upset. However, it was because she was worried about his safety again, so Jinwoo apologized. She was glad that Jinwoo could understand her concern, and she asked him to treat her to show his gratitude. Jinwoo was surprised, but their attention shifted to their teammates, who confirmed their arrival at the boss chamber. Some of them were intimidated by the huge door, but Kim was already prepared to open the door, and he was just waiting for Mr. Song's signal. Meanwhile, Chairman Go was giving a lecture to the newly awakened. He reminded everyone that it was their choice to be a hunter or not, but he already explained the dangers and mysteries of the dungeons. And lastly, he declared that even after getting accustomed to raids, they needed to be careful and remain afraid in order to survive. After entering the dungeon, Jinwoo's teammates were amazed to see the torches around them lit up. None of them was familiar with the dungeon, but the old statues immediately caught their attention. Jinwoo was amazed after seeing the biggest statue. Some of his teammates thought that there was something creepy about it, while others were disappointed instead that there were no magic beasts around. Mr. Song noticed the magic circle embedded in the ground, but someone called him to show him the writings held by one of the statues. The writings were the commandments of the Kartanan Temple, and while Mr. Song was reading them one by one, Juhee called out to Jinwoo, saying that the big statue's eyes moved and it had been watching them. Jinwoo thought it was just her imagination, but everyone was shocked when the door shut. They wondered if they were trapped, but one of them immediately tried to leave. However, after touching the door, Mr. Song immediately asked him to get away, but it was useless as the nearest statue killed him in one strike. They started to feel fear, including Jinwoo, who was completely aware of how weaker he was compared to the hunter who just died. He thought the strength of the statues didn't make sense for a D-rank dungeon. He immediately realized that the biggest statue was also capable of moving, and he watched as its eyes stared back at him. Ever since his first raid, Jinwoo has been close to death plenty of times. He was fighting for his survival even in the lowest ranking dungeons. And compared to other hunters, who equipped themselves better after every raid, he was stuck with a cheap knife and worn out clothes. Day after day, he endured mockery and put up with a life-threatening job. To survive, he always had to keep his eyes open, and he could tell if he was facing death. Jinwoo screamed at his teammates to get down while protecting Juhee. However, not everyone managed to dodge the blast of energy from the statue's eyes. Jinwoo couldn't understand what was going on, but he was certain that they were all going to die. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy this video, and please subscribe so you won't miss the next part. And just comment down any anime you want to see in this channel.